Yes.
I'll do
Hey, how are you? How are you? See you. How you doing? All right. It's actually me now. I didn't go be there for this quarterback. Maybe I'll throw it. I did not like it.
You good? No laughing in the press, please. Dave, long time. You been all right? Health good? Let's hope it stays that way. We good? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Rock. Where's Pat? We haven't been here in a while, which is, I think, largely good news. And as always, our thanks to New Jersey State Police, of whom there are many senior members here today, especially thanks to Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan and the whole team for allowing us to be in their home once again. Also joined by Attorney General Matt Platkin, fresh off the New York City Marathon, still standing. Senate President Nick Scuteri, Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin. Great to have you guys with us. And we have also a special treat, Senate and Assembly Law and Public Safety Committee chairs, Senator Linda Greenstein and Assemblyman Bill Spearman. Great to have you all with us as well. I also want to give a shout out to Mercer County Executive Brian Hughes and Ewing Township Mayor Bert Steinman. Great to have you guys with us as well. So earlier this year, our administration took a series of steps to combat a rash of car thefts that, like in other states around the country, has risen to near epidemic levels. We supported the efforts to grow the state police's auto theft task force to give it greater ability to investigate and disrupt the car theft rings, which are at the heart of the current trend. The task force has been able to add new detectives, and under Attorney General Matt Platkin, the Division of Criminal Justice has added additional prosecutors to quickly bring perpetrators to justice. The Attorney General has also revised the police pursuit policy to explicitly permit the pursuit of stolen cars, among other things. We're also putting $10 million in federal funds to work in communities investing in automated license plate recognition technologies that allow local police to better track and trace both stolen vehicles and the vehicles being used to shuttle car thieves into targeted neighborhoods. We are confident that these steps, investing directly in law enforcement and empowering them in their work, have already had an impact in reversing the increase in car thefts. Earlier this year, by way of example here, car thefts had increased significantly year over year. With the steps we've taken, car thefts in September of this year were down 14% from September of last year, and in October, car thefts were down around 12% from October of last year. But, and here's the reason why we're here today, we also know that we must do more to reduce the likelihood of car thefts and hold those who do commit these crimes accountable. Bringing down the number of vehicle thefts will also reduce the occurrence of violent crime, as we know that too often stolen cars are used in shootings and other acts of violence. Matt or Pat will correct me if I'm wrong, but shooting, homicides, shootings, violent crimes generally are also all down year over year, thank God. They're all north of zero, unfortunately, but they're down year over year. So all of those reasons bring us to today. Alongside the legislative leaders, and again, I thank the Senate President and the Speaker, as well as the two chairs with us today, I'm announcing my support for a series of measures to further combat car theft, in which I will sign into law as soon as they are passed and placed on my desk. Some versions of these measures have already been introduced, and I'm grateful to the legislators who are focused on confronting this important challenge. So first up, I'm calling for the establishment of a new persistent auto theft offender statute, which would give state and local prosecutors the option to seek more serious criminal consequences for those who have been repeatedly found guilty of stealing cars. Another bill will make possession and distribution of the specialized tools car thieves use to break into and start vehicles a crime. A third bill would impose criminal penalties for failing to comply with new guidelines in the sale and purchase of catalytic converters. This one is especially important, as we know that many car thieves are specifically going after catalytic converters for the rare metals they contain. Just this week, in fact, the New Jersey State Police, as Pat knows, worked with our federal partners in arresting several individuals in New Jersey as part of a multi-state law enforcement operation cracking down on the interstate black market in catalytic converters. And this measure will empower state and local law enforcement as well. And I think this is a big one, we will invest in enhanced pretrial services to reduce the risk that individuals who are currently awaiting trial will go out and commit another crime. This will include, among other things, pre-trial monitoring by law enforcement, expanding the use of house arrest paired with location monitoring, and providing additional resources related to substance abuse, mental health, and housing insecurity for defendants released pretrial who may require such services, which in turn will decrease the probability that they will commit another offense while on pretrial release. Matt has been particularly passionate about the notion that we have a lot of focus and energy and resources directed at those who are returning to society after having served a sentence, but we have precious little for those who have been arrested awaiting their trial, and this will address that. So while these measures work their way through the legislature, I'm also directing the Motor Vehicle Commission to explore, including in all vehicle registration paperwork, a checkbox allowing residents to opt into a program that would, if the car were to be stolen, automatically permit law enforcement access to the vehicle's in-car navigator to aid in tracking and retrieving it before it can either be shopped or put in a cargo hold for overseas shipment. And MVC is also going to focus on messaging the importance of safely handling key fobs, something that all drivers should heed, but new drivers especially so. This may seem like basic common sense, but the fact is that many car thefts are being made easier to pull off because car owners have simply and or accidentally left their key fob in the vehicle or inadvertently stored the fobs in their homes too close to the cars in their driveways or garages. I know there are other measures being contemplated in the legislature and other potential steps we can take administratively. And I look forward to working alongside legislative leadership and our law enforcement community to put in place those which will provide the best results. And this is how we are going to get ahead of those committing car thefts, by working across government and in partnership with law enforcement at both the state and the local levels. But again, we cannot do all of this ourselves. We need residents to also help by taking the steps they can to better protect their cars. A car that is parked in a closed and locked garage is going to be the safest from theft. If you cannot park your car inside, make sure that your vehicle is locked and that the key fob is with you. These may seem, again, like common sense steps, and they are, but sometimes a little extra common sense could go a long way in protecting one's property. And we will continue to do what we can to invest in and empower law enforcement in their work. And that's common sense, I might add, as well. Together, we will continue to work to make New Jersey safer. So with that, again, Pat, thank you for hosting us so graciously. Please help me welcome the Attorney General, Matt Plackett.
Thank you, Governor. Legislative leadership, thank you for being here. Colonel, County Executive, Mayor, great to be with all of you. As the Governor said and has made clear, public safety is our top priority, both throughout the administration and certainly in the Department of Law and Public Safety. And we know that auto thefts continue to be a significant challenge for people throughout the state. They are increasingly involved in the commission of other crimes, importantly violent crimes, and we also know that in many communities, not only is that theft significantly affect an individual's life, but it makes communities feel less safe. So we have been aggressively tackling the rise in auto theft. When the Governor nominated me and I took office in February, the year-over-year increase in auto thefts was 31%. That number is now down to 12%. We still have work to do, but we've cut the increase by almost 2/3. As the Governor mentioned, over the last 2 months, 367 fewer cars were stolen this year than were stolen last year. So we're seeing a significant decline in the trend, and I hope that when we're getting together in a few months' time, we're talking about a year-over-year decrease. And I want to particularly thank the Colonel for their support, Division of Criminal Justice, and then our many members of our state police, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Brennan, Major Larry Williams, who lead our efforts. As the Governor said, we expanded our auto theft task force by adding additional Division of Criminal Justice personnel. We put additional state police resources and added dollars to make this task force truly the most robust anti-auto theft effort in the country. And the reason why we have this task force may sound abstract, but it brings together state, federal, and local partners from across the state so that we can share intelligence and intercept and disrupt organized auto theft rings, which we have done. And that has significantly contributed to the decline in auto thefts that we've seen in recent months. We also have aggressively tackled, as the Governor said, violent crime, particularly shootings. And I'm proud of the progress we've made. Any one shooting is a tragedy. We'd love this number to be 0. And we know that gun violence is an epidemic in this country and in New Jersey. But in our state, we've seen over the past year a 26% decline in shootings. And it's true in every major city, from a 44% decline in Jersey City to the lowest level of a 23% decline in Camden. Again, any shooting is a tragedy, but Colonel, I would argue that any state across the country would take that kind of progress given what we're seeing in the national climate. So I'm encouraged by these trends, but I thank the Governor and the legislature for considering new tools that can help us more effectively combat the rise in auto theft and drive down violent crime. The Governor's gone over the administrative and legislative tools that he's discussing. I certainly look forward to seeing them progress through the legislature and hopefully get to his desk. And I assure you we will put them to good use. In particular, I thank the Governor for considering enhancements to our pretrial services, which I believe will have a significant impact in both keeping public safe and helping provide those who have become in contact with the criminal justice system a path to a better and more a better contributing lifestyle. So thank you.
Matt, thank you for all of that. And again, I underscore there's a lot of stuff we're talking about today. There's a lot of stuff we're already doing. But this pre-trial service notion, to me, has the potential of being a game changer. So thank you for your leadership. Please help me welcome, I don't know why I get to welcome our host because it's his house, but please help me welcome the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Governor, General, certainly Senate President and Speaker. Good to see you, as well as Senator and Assemblyman and everybody on what is obviously a top priority for law enforcement around the state. I think back over the summer, as the governor was talking about dedicating more funding to license plate recognition, the general, we were talking about increasing the task force. So I went out. I partnered up with the task force up in Newark, and it was an opportunity to not put this on, to put on a T-shirt and jeans and sneakers, and to be with the men and women, the sneakers and boots on the ground. And in 20 minutes, we recovered a stolen Range Rover and 2 BMWs. In 20 minutes of being out there, and then seeing the efforts that then go into taking those rings down, as the governor and general alluded to. And when you see that those rings and those organized criminals get taken down, how that impacts auto theft, and then how that even translates to driving down shootings. And that task force, just to date, 148 vehicles recovered this year. To date, $7.7 million in estimated value and 71 arrests. It's making a difference. But what I stress whenever I have the opportunity to talk about auto theft, it's not all the time just your car being taken from your driveway or your garage. It is then many times linked to violent crime and a shooting. A few of those stats of the some 3,100 people arrested last year for receiving stolen property, nearly 500 were related and involved in shootings. 500. And to the general's point about we wish that number was 0. So for those folks who don't think that locking your car, locking your house, taking your fob, we've seen a brazenness recently with you can be home, and if you hang those keys up on that post in your mudroom, that's a pretty easy spot to get to. So the combination of what this proposed legislation is going to do, coupled with the mission that our task force is on, coupled with the funding to support license plate recognition, and I do think that this pretrial service, Gov, is going to be a game changer too, when we can make sure to keep the most violent and the most prolific auto thieves held accountable for this, and we will definitely, I think the rest of the nation, the other 49 states, as they do with many other things, are going to look to New Jersey and say, how are they doing it, and how are they upholding their oath to protect the citizens and their property in this great state. Thank you.
I just went to Pat, and I hit his gun, so Pat, that was not in any way, shape, or form an attempt on my part to disarm you. Thank you for your leadership across so much. You know, there's some stuff that we can do on our own, and we have done, but most of the stuff we're talking about, either that we have done or that we want to do, is under the banner of It Takes a Village. And that means you need great legislative leadership to get bills to move through the respective chambers and then get to our desk to sign. And we could not have 2 better leaders than our next 2 and final speakers. Please help me welcome the great Senate President, Senator Nick Scuteri.
Governor, thank you for bringing us together on an important topic, and to the Colonel and to the General and all of those that have been working to combat this important issue this past year. I appreciate what you've done, but there's more that we need to do in the legislature, and the Speaker and I and legislative leadership in the Senate have been talking about it already. Before this day came, we've been talking about things that we need to do to not only be tougher on crime, but to broaden the types of crimes that we can prosecute. Things that we never saw before. There are rings that are involved in New Jersey that we've never seen before. There are minors that are involved in brazen car thefts, catalytic converter rings, all types of different things related to auto theft that we have never seen before. So it's going to take us to create new laws and broaden the types of things that prosecutors can actually utilize to get after people. And that's also going to probably mean that we need to get tougher in terms of holding people over, to make sure that people that have been arrested on crimes that were with the most certainty are probably guilty of those and have a likelihood of continuing to commit these crimes while they're not held over, that they need to be held over. That means changing the presumption of incarceration for individuals that may be charged with certain types of things. And we've already started that discussion in order to make sure that law enforcement can do their job. Arresting people's not enough if they get out on the next day and we can't hold them over. We need to make sure that those individuals that are involved in these types of criminal activity, in these criminal rings, are held until trial date, so they don't continue to commit these types of things. Even as much as law enforcement stops them, we can't allow them to come right back and do it again. So these are types of things that we've been talking about, increasing penalties for people in these things, broadening the types of activity that reaches to criminality, talking about the juvenile behavior and the juvenile involvement. And although juveniles in New Jersey and across this country already have broad protections, in some instances perhaps we've got to look at that to make sure that that we can be tough on them as well, because they're involved in activities that we just simply cannot tolerate. Our citizens won't tolerate it. We as legislative leaders can't tolerate it as well. Being safe in your homes, being safe with your vehicles, being safe in our communities is one of the most important things that we can do as leaders. And so we want to make sure that we do that. And I think that we're going to get that done. We've already been talking about it. I appreciate the governor having our back on this, because it's not the easiest topic in the world, but we got to get moving further on the things that you've already started, but it's going to require legislative changes. You've got my commitment to work with the Speaker and legislative leadership to do that. One of the things I just want to leave you with, in all my years as a prosecutor, is lock your cars. Lock your doors. You would be shocked at how many videos I have seen over the years where someone goes down the street and checks doors on the cars, and just over and over, just walk down. And then you'll eventually find one that's open. It's shocking to me that people, these cars come with locks. If you don't use them, they don't work. So take your key fobs with you and lock your doors. But with that, I want to say thank you, Governor General Colonel, for the efforts that you've made so far. And we are absolutely going to partner with you to get some more done this year, to give you guys the tools and you gals the tools to make New Jersey the safest place that we can. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's 2 points I would underscore. I think I use the word persistent, which is, I think, what you refer to is that you get somebody who does it on Monday and they're out on Tuesday and they're doing it again on Wednesday. And secondly, the basic common sense. Please, God, everybody, lock the car and get the fob away from the car. Thank you for your leadership, Nick. And you're joined right beside you by another extraordinary leader in the Assembly. Please help me welcome the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
Thank you, Patrick. Good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here, and thank you, Governor. Thank you, Senate President. Thank you, Colonel, for letting us be here. General, it's nice to see you. Senator Greenstein, thank you for being with us today, and the chair of my Law and Public Safety Committee in the Assembly, Bill Spearman. Thank you for being with us. Bill was ahead of the curve last week, or the week before. I think he announced that he was going to hold hearings on this issue, because this is something that we all recognize, and it's important that we come here and speak together with one voice, the legislature and the front office in addressing this problem, because it's something that we all recognize is a challenge to every community in the state of New Jersey and puts people at risk. This is something that no district is immune from, not mine in the 19th, not the senators, not the assemblyman from Camden, not the Senate President. No, none of us. In fact, we read, I think all of us probably read the story about the house across the street from the governor's, in fact, being the target of a car theft. And it's something that we need to make and double down on the commitment to address end to end, because the opportunity for things to go terribly wrong and for people to end up being hurt because of that is real, and something that we need to commit together. So I'm in for addressing those things that we can, as the governor outlined. I'm in with the Senate President, as he talked about. We've been talking about ways. I can only imagine the frustration of law enforcement and judges, quite candidly, when they're looking at somebody who has a repetitive offense. Weren't you here last week, kind of thing? I've had the great privilege of being a judge at the municipal level years ago, and understand what you're looking at it, and there are rules that might need to be changed. And so we need to look at all of this. We need to look at this holistically, and we need to do it immediately, because now is the time. People are sending us a clear message that this is something that they're truly worried about And so the efforts that we make when we do them together need to have a profound impact on this. And we need to recognize that, as the Senate President pointed out, so many of the people involved in this are young people. We need to protect them. We need to disincentivize them from getting involved, and we need to prosecute and punish the ringleaders who recruit them, so that going forward, those will come to an end, and those who are responsible for this will face true justice. So I congratulate the governor for his leadership on this issue and bringing forth some terrific ideas that we look forward to moving quickly, addressing those things that we must, because everybody in the state of New Jersey, it goes without saying, our job, first and foremost, is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of New Jersey. This is an issue that demands our attention. This is the one that we're going to work to solve and just make sure that justice is brought to everyone, so everybody goes to bed safe at night, not being concerned about what might happen if somebody tries to steal their vehicle, and bringing an end to this as best we can. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, to you and the Senate President, deep thanks for your partnership and leadership on this. Ditto for Senator Greenstein and Assemblyman Spearman. Thank you both for your leadership. And again, I want to thank the Attorney General and Superintendent for their leadership as well, and also Pat for hosting us so graciously. And we're being hosted in Mercer County. I thank the county executive and Ewing Township, and I thank Mayor Steinman as well for being here today. With that, folks, thank you all. Have a great week, and stay tuned.
What's up, brother? Good man, right?